She was standing on our driveway when it happened. My 17-year-old daughter, Mia, still in her training hoodie, just tying her shoes before heading out. Then that so-called HOA security guard came rushing in like he owned the whole street. He pointed a gun at her and yelled, "Hands up! You're trespassing on private grounds." I froze for a second because we were on our own land, and he acted like we were criminals. Mia didn't move. Not because she was scared, but because she was shocked someone so clueless would point a gun at her without a single warning. He kept shouting, his voice shaking, but not from fear, from ego. Behind him, that HOA Karen stood with her phone up, recording like she had just caught a major criminal. She smirked and said, "Finally, she learned who runs this neighborhood." I felt something burn inside me, but Mia whispered, "Dad, don't step in yet." She kept her hands slightly raised, calm, steady, watching every move the guard made. Karen walked closer and hissed, "Your daughter has been wandering around at night. I know trouble when I see it." She had no idea that every night Mia was helping train local officers in tactical defense. Quietly, without ever drawing attention. Karen leaned in and said, "We're removing you both from this property tonight." Like she had the power. Like she controlled our home. Like our rights didn't exist. The guard cocked his gun, trying to look tough, but his hands shook even more. Mia tilted her head and said softly, "You sure you want to do this?" Her tone alone made him step back. Karen snapped, "Don't talk. You're done here." But I could see Karen's smile fade for a moment, like she felt something wasn't adding up. Like she finally noticed Mia wasn't scared at all. Mia looked at me and whispered just loud enough, "Dad, stay behind me." She shifted her foot, just a tiny move, but one I recognized instantly. She wasn't preparing to run. She was calculating angles. Karen didn't know she had just pointed a gun at someone who could disarm her guard in less than 2 seconds. Someone who had passed the toughest federal training before she even turned 18. Someone the HOA thought was a kid. And in that moment, Karen took one more step toward her. The step she should have never taken. Before Karen could react, Mia's voice cut through the tension like ice. "Drop it now." "Huh?" The guard froze, his finger twitching near the trigger, and I realized she wasn't bluffing. With a smooth, practiced motion, Mia had already moved her body just enough to force him off balance. But she didn't strike she didn't need to yet. Karen's eyes widened, like she suddenly understood she was out of her league. But her pride wouldn't let her admit it. "You think you can intimidate me with a fake badge and a toy gun?" Mia said calmly, her tone low but deadly. The guard stumbled backward, fumbling the weapon, and I caught a glimpse of something on the ground. A small security camera. One Karen had set up illegally just to watch us. That's when I realized she had been planning this, trying to make us look like the troublemakers. Karen tried to regain control, stepping in front of the guard. You can't do this." "I call the police." She didn't finish her sentence because Mia's phone lit up. Silent alert to the local FBI field office. My jaw dropped. Mia was still technically undercover for some federal operations. And apparently, she didn't think Karen's little HOA stunt was worth keeping a secret. Karen's smirk faltered as she saw a black SUV pull up down the street. Unmarked, official looking. 2 men in suits got out, badges in hand, and called out, "Step away from the property." Now, Karen's voice wavered. "But they're just kids. I run this neighborhood." She stopped mid-sentence when one of the men looked directly at her and said, "We've been monitoring your HOA harassment reports, and it looks like you've crossed a line." The guard panicked. Karen tried to grab her phone, but Mia already had it in hand, recording everything. "Every step you made today is documented," she said. "And yes, Dad, I did alert the feds while keeping my cool." My heart pounded, but I couldn't move. I just watched as Karen's world started to crumble. She had built this little kingdom of fake power, and in one afternoon, it was unraveling in front of her. Then Mia gave me a look. The same look she always gives before a plan unfolds. I knew she had one more move left. And Karen had no idea it was coming. Karen stumbled back toward the driveway, her face pale, but her mouth still tried to form words. You can't do this to me. I'm the HOA. I have authority." Mia didn't flinch. She slowly raised the phone, showing Karen the live footage streaming directly to federal agents. "Authority doesn't work when it's fake," she said. "And I have proof you threatened a minor with a weapon." Karen's eyes darted to the guard, who was now visibly shaking, realizing he'd been part of a serious crime. I didn't know," he stammered. Mia shook her head. "You chose to follow her orders. That makes you just as responsible." The two men in suits stepped closer, each movement confident, controlled, and final. Karen backed up, trying to sound tough, but the words sounded hollow even to her own ears. Suddenly, Mia whispered something to me. "Check the gate cameras." "Weller, we grow. Well, we will wait. Weller, when the world There it was. Curran had been sneaking around our property for weeks, planting fake notices, checking on us, trying to catch us breaking HOA rules. Every illegal step, every attempt to manipulate us, caught clearly on tape. I felt a mix of anger and relief. The evidence was undeniable. Karen's face twisted in disbelief as one of the agents spoke. "Miss, you are under investigation for impersonation of law enforcement and harassment." "Step aside." The guard, realizing he was also caught in the trap, slowly lowered his hands. Karen made one last desperate lunge toward Mia's phone, but Mia's reaction was instant, smooth, precise, and nonviolent. Karen froze mid-step, caught in the exact moment she tried to overplay her hand. Mia turned to me, calm as ever, and said, "Dad, let's finish this the right way." She handed me the phone. I could see the feeds from our home cameras, showing Karen's fake notices, her secret recordings, and the guard's threatening behavior. The agents nodded at me, acknowledging the complete story. Karen finally realized her fake power was over. And yet, she didn't scream or fight. She just stared, trapped by her own arrogance. It was at that moment, standing in my own driveway surrounded by my daughter, evidence, and federal agents, that I understood. Karen had no idea. She was dealing with someone who could dismantle her entire world before she even touched a weapon. And she was about to learn the full consequences of her actions. Karen's legs trembled as the agents guided her toward the SUV. She kept trying to argue, voice rising, but it was useless. Every lie she had built, every fake threat, every intimidation tactic, everything was unraveling before her eyes. She shot one last glare at me and Mia, like she could curse us with her stare. But it bounced off the solid calm in Mia's posture. Then the unthinkable happened. One of the agents whispered into his radio, and almost immediately, more unmarked vehicles rolled in from both sides of the street. Apparently, Karen's HOA wasn't just a small neighborhood racket they'd been tipping off other security companies in the state, trying to cover her tracks. Mia smirked subtly and said, "Looks like they didn't expect me to be fully connected." Karen's face shifted from arrogance to panic. Her guard now fully realized the situation. He was being recorded. The agents were watching, and the cameras had every illegal move on tape. He tried again, but Mia interrupted. Voice calm but lethal, "You followed orders that put my family in danger. That's not innocent. You knew exactly what you were doing." Karen's phone buzzed. She checked it, and her face drained completely. Every contact she had used to spread fear, every HOA email, every fake complaint, every call to imaginary authorities was now exposed. Mia had already sent all the proof to the local media, federal offices, and neighborhood boards. Every fake authority Karen ever claimed was crumbling in real time. I finally stepped forward, my voice steady, holding the phone, showing all the footage. This is our land, our home, our family. You tried to make us criminals here? Now the truth is out for everyone to see. Karen tried to shout back, but the agents cut her off. She realized fully that no amount of bluster, no fake notices, no authority would save her now. And as the SUV doors closed, Mia leaned toward me quietly, almost playful. "Dad, want to see how deep this goes?" I nodded, my heart pounding. Because I knew her plan wasn't just to stop Karen, it was to make sure no one else ever tried to mess with us. Karen thought today was the climax, but it was only the beginning. Once Karen was inside the SUV, the street felt eerily quiet for a moment, but Mia wasn't done. She walked over to the gate and tapped her phone again. "Watch this," she said. On the screen, the HOA's entire network of fake complaints, illegal surveillance, and intimidation tactics flashed mapped out for federal investigators. Every neighbor who had been quietly tormented now had proof. Karen's so-called empire wasn't just local. It had tentacles all over the county, and Mia had traced every one. "They'll all come for her now," I whispered, half in awe, half in fear of the fallout. Mia smiled faintly. "Not just them." She underestimated me. Always a mistake. Then, from behind, the original HOA guard tried one last desperate move. He reached toward Mia, in a blur. She disarmed him, pinned him to the ground, and whispered, "Stay calm. No one gets hurt if you cooperate." His eyes widened as he realized he had just met someone he could never trick or intimidate. Again, Karen's panic was visible through the tinted windows as she saw the map on Mia's phone. I can fix this," she muttered, but it was too late. The agents outside were already coordinating arrests, fines, and legal actions. Every attempt she made to twist the situation was now a weapon against her. And then the final twist of the afternoon, Mia sent a secure message to the HOA board, revealing Karen's fake security contracts and forged documents. Within minutes, the board's emails were flooding with complaints from other neighborhoods, demanding audits and immediate investigations. Karen's name, once whispered in fear, was now a headline. "HOA tyrant exposed. Federal investigation underway." Mia turned to me, her calm expression unchanged, and said, "Dad, we just made history in this neighborhood." I laughed, partly out of relief, partly out of disbelief, as Karen's SUV disappeared down the street. But even as we watched, I knew Mia wasn't done. She had more cards up her sleeve, more moves we hadn't even seen yet. And I realized that the fight for our home had just begun, with twists no one could have predicted. The next morning, the neighborhood was buzzing, though no one dared step near our property. News crews had caught wind of Karen's arrest, and her security guard fiasco had gone viral. But Mia wasn't celebrating. She was already planning the next step. She pulled up a map of the HOA's past complaints and noticed something strange, a pattern of intimidation, targeting only certain families. "Dad, she wasn't random," Mia said quietly. This was calculated. She thought she could scare everyone who questioned her authority. Before I could respond, Mia's phone pinged. A secure message from her federal contact popped up. "We've got a bigger problem." Karen had backup. Other HOA enforcers are mobilizing in neighboring towns. My stomach sank. I had thought the nightmare ended, but apparently Karen had built an entire network of fake authority. Mia's eyes narrowed. "Good. Then we'll expose all of them." One by one, she spoke. A black van slowly rolled past our driveway, pausing like it was scouting the house. I grabbed my own phone, but Mia held up a hand. "Watch and learn, Dad." She stepped onto the porch, phone in hand, and started recording the van. A man in a suit waved casually, pretending to be a neighbor, but Mia's trained eyes saw through him immediately. "He's checking our security blind spots." "We've got company," she murmured. I felt my heart pound. Karen had been dangerous, but this was organized. Mia, however, stayed calm. She whispered, "They think today's headline is the end, but they haven't seen the full story. Let them come." In that moment, I realized my daughter wasn't just protecting our family. She was about to take down an entire corrupt network, starting with the people bold enough to follow Karen's footsteps. And just like that, our quiet neighborhood had turned into a battlefield, where the next twist wasn't coming from me. Not from Karen, but from the girl I thought I knew, who was now more than just my daughter. She was a force no fake authority could ever handle. By mid-afternoon, the van was still circling, but Mia had already laid a trap. She used her phone to trigger hidden cameras around the property, feeding live footage directly to the federal team. Every move the strangers made, every suspicious gesture, was being recorded. I couldn't believe the level of precision she had. She was calm, collected, and 2 steps ahead, even as the tension mounted. Suddenly, one of the men in the van stepped out, trying to blend in as a delivery guy, holding a clipboard. Mia didn't flinch. "Package 4, she called out sweetly. The man froze. Before he could answer, she tapped her earpiece, signaling the agents, and said, "You really shouldn't have come here." In less than 30 seconds, 2 black SUVs pulled up quietly from the street behind, cornering the van. The men realized too late they were trapped. Karen's so-called network had underestimated Mia. Not just underestimated, she had anticipated every move. The man with the clipboard tried to flee, but Mia's quick thinking cut off his path, and the agents stepped in simultaneously. Within minutes, all of them were detained, their equipment seized, and their plans exposed. Every forged document, every fake HOA order, every intimidation tactic, they were all evidence now. I watched, jaw dropped, as Mia walked back to the porch, brushing her hands off like it had been a simple afternoon stroll. "Dad, this is just the start," she said, eyes scanning the street. I realized she wasn't just defending our home anymore. She was dismantling an entire network of corruption. One HOA bully at a time, and then the final twist hit. Her phone lit up with a message I didn't expect. Karen had tried to call Mia from jail. The screen showed, "You think this is over? It's only beginning." Mia smiled faintly. "Oh, Dad, she has no idea what beginning really means." I felt a shiver, knowing our family had survived the first wave, but the war with fake authority wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. By evening, the neighborhood felt strangely quiet, almost too quiet. But Mia didn't relax. She was already analyzing the evidence collected throughout the day. Every security feed, every recorded threat, even Karen's own messages to her fake network were organized into a folder labeled Exposed. She handed me a tablet. "Look," she said, "this isn't just about us. There are dozens of families she tried to intimidate, and now we have the proof to protect them too." I scrolled through files showing HOA notices shoved under doors, videos of guards threatening residents, and even emails where Karen had bragged about her control over certain neighborhoods. She really thought she could run the whole county," I whispered. Mia nodded. She underestimated one thing. Real power isn't about fear. It's about preparation, evidence, and timing. And we have all 3. Just then, a notification popped up, a live video from another neighborhood where Karen's associates were trying the same tactics. Mia's eyes lit up. "Dad, they're repeating her mistakes. And guess who's going to catch them?" She already had a plan, calling in the local authorities and sending the live feeds directly to federal contacts. Within minutes, multiple HOA operatives were confronted, filmed, and caught in the act. As we watched the chaos unfold on the tablet, I realized something terrifying and amazing at the same time. Mia wasn't just defending our home anymore. She was systematically dismantling an entire corrupt system. Every move was precise, every reaction calculated, and every outcome exposing the people who thought they could get away with abuse. And then, in the middle of all this, Mia's phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "We know who you really are. You're not just a kid. Stay away, or it gets worse." She glanced at me, calm as ever. "Dad, they finally realized I'm not someone they can scare. But that's okay. Let them come. We're ready." I swallowed hard, realizing the twists weren't over. and the real showdown with Karen's network was only beginning.